Good morning. Hi, we got Nancy here. We got Stella. I think we had a few people in the room already. Yeah. So for today, we've got Rick, and some of you already have met Rick, and also you are Rick's clients as well. So Rick has been running his own business, rental management, for over 7 years now, and I have been, I started using Rick. I can't remember how many, maybe 5, 6 years ago or something, and I found that he's really capable. He's really working hard. It's basically he just want to please every of his clients, so every landlord. Yeah. And sometimes I had to say to him and say, well, sometimes if his landlord's been too difficult, you need to actually set your boundary. But he was always, no, I need to make sure that they get looked after. So he always want to get a better result possible. Even myself sometimes give him some tough time. I want to rent out this house for $1,100 a week. It's a 3-bedroom at Greenland. Rick, go and do it. Yeah. And he did it. Yeah. Okay. And on top of that, I think he's really good and very patient at dealing with the tenants, because I always say like tenants a little bit like child. They will keep pushing a boundary, and I think Rick is very good at communicating and always talking to the tenants and things like that. Yeah. So certainly I'm actually quite happy with his services. And on top of that, if it's our customer, he actually have a really special package for us. And it's a very good rate compared to, at the moment, I think out there you are looking at like 8% plus GST, 7% plus GST. But Rick is going to tell you like what he's offered to us. Yeah. Okay. So today he's going to take you through this new Tenancy Act. Because the changes actually came into force on the 12th of August, which is just like last Wednesday. So it's a very, very new rules that as a landlord you need to comply, and certainly I think it's more friendly to the tenants. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to say it's a fair or not fair or whatever, but to me it's whatever that's a legislation, we need to comply with that. Yeah. Okay. Forget about trying to argue or whatever. It just if that's the act, just follow that. If you feel it's too much for you, give it to Rick. Himself and his team, they're very good at handling that. Okay. So we just going to let Rick take over. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, for joining us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Lucia, and hello, everybody. It's always my honor, my pleasure to share my experience and briefly introduce what's going on in the amendment of the new Tenancy Act. So everyone, if you can't hear me clearly, just always let me know. I can tell sometimes the signal is not accurate, it's not that good, but just always keep me posted if you can't hear me or can't hear me properly. Okay, just briefly some backgrounds on our company. As Lucia has introduced our company, I have created this company for more than 7 years, and I personally have the real estate sales license, and I'm getting the level 4 property management certificate nearly finished. And our company, actually, we do mostly the residential tenancy management, and also we do part of commercial management and body code. And we are a team of 4. It's myself and one of our account manager, Angela, and we have other 2 property managers. Reggie always help us to manage the rental properties at eastern and southern areas, and Wilson is always helped me to manage the properties at north and western areas. Okay. Okay, so the new amendments, I would like to talk about healthy home standards first before we go into the any amendments on Tenancy Act. which just approved on 12th of August. But firstly, healthy home standard. I believe most of you have heard of this before. The new law that we have to provide a healthy home standard certificate to your tenants before after 1st of December this year. Okay, after 1st of December this year, you have 90 days period which you have to provide a healthy home standard. And let's have a look about what healthy home standards have covered. Actually, a reasonable healthy home standards report. It's cover all the information that the tenants need regards about its heating informations, insulations, ventilations, moisture, or drought standard. Okay, excuse me, I just. Okay, and firstly, we talk about the ventilation standard. By the new law, actually, all the bedrooms is necessary need to have open windows, and the open windows, the size of the windows, it can be regulated. If you want to find out what sort of the size in the bedrooms that need to be good to provide it to the tenant to fit into the regulations, actually you are able to find out that calculations on the tenancy service website. If you are curious, you can ask me for the link. I can send you the link and you can probably find out. But mostly the ventilation covers on bedrooms, bathroom, and the kitchens. Bedroom, obviously, you need to have the open windows. And the kitchen and the bathrooms, you need to have proper ventilations. In the kitchens, you can either use a fan or you can use the range hood. It has the capacity of the air out minimum at the size of the fan minimum it's 150 millimeters. Okay, you need to have at least 50 liters per second of the air capacity to air out. For the bathroom, it's a bit less, but it's 120 millimeters. So for the new regulation, you have to check whether your kitchens, your bathroom, you does have the ventilation, you does have the fan, you does have the open windows in your bedrooms to meet the requirements. The second thing is the heating requirements. The heating actually there was the olden laws that you have to provide a heating source in the living area, but the new law it set up a more higher regulations which you have to provide at least you can fix the temperature at 18 degrees recommended. Most of the building technicians, the tenancy servers will recommend it that you to install the heat pump. It's more common, but it still depends on the your size of your living area. Okay, if you do have a living area such as the open kitchens combined with your living areas, you have to increase your capacity of the heating source in the living area, because part of the open kitchens, let's say hallway, the stairs, that are all parts of the living area as well. Okay, so for example, if your living area is 20 square meters and you do have an open plan kitchens, then looks like your heat pump should be work for more than 20 square meters rather than the living area. You have to count the open kitchens and the stairways and the hallway all together. And again, on the tenancy service website, you are able to find out what sort of the heating source capacity you needed by calculations. But for the healthy home standard report, it's always easy. You can get someone to get the report done for you, and those inspectors are better to register under the city councils. Okay. The third thing is the drought stopping standards. Most of the new houses, I think the building code, the CCC should require they have the stormwater drainage and also the wastewater drainage. But for the older houses, there's a lot of house that's designed without a stormwater drainage. Pretty much lots. What the stormwater they did in the older houses, they just absorbed by the ground, the soil. So for a lot of the older houses, probably the building technicians the building inspector will recommend you to install the moisture barriers. But it depends whether you do have a proper stormwater drainage. If the stormwater will be absorbed by all the grounds and all the moisture will come out from the ground all the way from the basement all the way to your floor, then they probably will recommend you to install a moisture barrier. But it depends whether it's need to. The professional advisor will give you some suggestion for that if needed. Okay. And the last thing it's about the drought. Most of the older houses, there's some gap for the windows, for the doors, easy for the cold air to come into the houses. As a landlord and property manager, you definitely have to look at those issues. If you have any notice by your tenants that there's the gap in the door or the windows, they can't close the window properly, there always fresh air from the windows once they shut the windows, you probably need someone to take into this and probably put the seals between it, and to prevent all the airs come from the outside, and make sure you sort out the drought issues. That's basically the Healthy Home Standards report, what's covered about. So what we really recommend is you get someone professional to get a report done for you, and you will understand more about what's going on for your houses. Of course, the other thing they will look at is the smoke alarm, but normally smoke alarm was already covered by our routine inspections. So what sort of the effect for the new Residential Tenancy Act amendments? For the Healthy Home Standards, I can tell most of the landlords will definitely increase the cost of renovations. By the building inspectors has mentioned, only about 10 to 20% of the houses can meet the new regulations, Healthy Home Standards. Most of 80% of houses, they will always have some issues to fix, such as they don't have the fan inside the bathroom, there's a drought in the door and also the windows. The older design of the houses, they don't have the drainage for the stormwater, etc. So most of the houses, I can tell, probably they are not able to meet the regulations. So new amendments that definitely increase all the costs on the landlord side. And they will increase the opportunity this increase the chance you have the arguments with your tenants. Because once they know, the tenants know more about your property, then that's more opportunity they can come to argue with you. You have to get all things done. Otherwise, they're easy to come up with the moistures, the mold issues, health issues, and any uncomfortable or inconvenience that all draws all the issues that will be come out. That's all the issues that can be negotiated with the landlord by the tenants. Okay, let's go into the new amendments that just announced a couple of days ago. The new amendments, in my point of view, I have to say, it's pretty an unfair amendment. What I'm saying that it's most of the amendments are on the tenant point of view on these amendments. That's the reason I think it's not unfair, and I will provide some new amendments below, which I think it's an important issues that we have to make attention, and what sort of the challenge we are facing in the future in our management. First of all, it's the rent increase. The new amendments allowed, it's only allowed the landlord to increase the rent once a year. In the past, the landlord is allowed to increase the rent every 6 months by given 60 days notice. But now, the new amendments that we only can increase the rent, which is every year. But why is this important? It's the market change all the time. You probably if there's any issues between you and your tenants, sometimes a reasonable increase about your rent is a very important crucial point that you can deal with. For example, if there's any repair or maintenance you have to deal with and it's cost too much. For example, you need to install a heat pump in the next month, but you have already given the notice about $10 rent increase. You cannot increase the rents anymore in the next 12 months. But who is going to cover this heat pump cost or any other repair and maintenance? Okay, so that leaves you a challenge. Once you have to increase the rents in the future, you have to think carefully what's the reasonable price you have to increase your rent. Okay, you can't, otherwise, if there's any other major repair and maintenance, you want to put the cost on the tenants, and you are not allowed to. You have to wait for at least a year time. So that's the reason I'm thinking about to admit from 6 months to 12 months. That will be a challenge in our future management. Okay, the rent must state clearly when we trying to find the tenants on the advertisement. On the older laws that allows the agents to let the tenants to have a bid on whether if they love the house, they want to pay higher rent. We are allowed to let them to make the bid on the rental price. Whoever the tenants have the higher bid, they love the house, they have the good reference, we can rent it out to them. But to state very clearly, if you want to rent a house, we have to state what's the rental price very clearly. And that have to be exactly amount. So, and you have to state very clearly what's included in the rentings. For example, the chattels, the outgoing expenses, whether the water charge included or any power bill is included. You have to state very clearly on those advertisements. Otherwise, you will get yourself into a trouble. Okay, but for these amendments, we will lose our opportunity to increase the rents to other people's. Okay, we lost the opportunity. We can put a bid on. The tenants can put a bid on the rental properties. We lost the opportunity that we can rent it out higher price. But sometimes it might be reasonable to set the price in a right market price, and you find the right people. It's just kind of we will miss the opportunity. But to be honest, for our company, we never put the bid on our rental properties, but we did get the negotiations for some tenants. They are willing to put the higher price on the property we advertise and get the more opportunity to have this to granted to rent these houses. But from the new amendments, this is not allowed anymore. So just be careful in the future. The notice for self-living. In the olden rules is 42 days, and now they increased to 60 days. And more important is, once if you send a notice to your tenant, you want to move back to the house for self-living. Once the tenants move out and you gain the possessions, you do have 90 days time to move back home. Okay, if you don't, if that's just an excuse, you self-livings, and the tenants is able to take you to the court. Okay, so everything will become a bit difficult in the future. If you provide the notice, you want the house back for self-living, then you have to move back. Okay, there's no other reasons you can made of to have the house back. Okay, if you want to renovate the house and you provide a 63 days notice, you want to renovate your house, then after the tenants move out, when you gain the possessions, yes, you do have 90 days. You do have to move back. If you let your tenants know you don't move back, then that will make yourself into trouble as well. So whatever reason you give the tenants, you have to do it all. Okay. The new laws allowed the tenants to do a minor, I would say, a minor changes to about the premises for security issues. I would say security is this word is I added on. Actually, they can change a minor decorations, renovations about the houses, mainly for the security issues. I just done a property inspections a couple of days ago, and with the landlord, and we find out the tenant has installed a security gate on the second level of the stairs to prevent the kid fell over. I think this is pretty common. But for those baby security gates, remember you have to draw the screws inside the wall and the stair timbers. Okay, potentially that's damage the properties. Okay, and at the same date, when I came back to the office, I provide the notice, the 14 days remedy notice to the tenants. They have to get rid of the security gate, and they have to fill the holes, and they have to done the paintings. Okay, but the new law is different. If it's the security issues, they are allowed the tenants to do a little bit security, prevents their family members, their kids to get into dangers. Okay, and the second thing is install visible smoke alarms. I'm not too sure whether you have been facing an issues your tenants cannot hear properly. Okay, we do. Actually, we do have the tenants. They have the hearing problems. Okay, so the smoke alarms doesn't work well on their safeties. Okay, so that's the reason for the new law. They are allowed the tenant to install the visible smoke alarm. So for those kind of tenants, for their safety issues, they are allowed to install the without the landlord's consent. Okay, and the doorbell is just a minor issue. Okay, so that's part of the new amendments has been changed for the new Tenancy Act. Okay, there are more, but due to time issues, I don't have time to go over everything. But if you interesting to find out, you always can add my contact and always can ask me later on, and I can briefly explain to you. Due to Lucia's members, it's always free consultations. If you have any questions regards about Residential Tenancy Act, you're always able to give me a call or send me an email and let me know your issues. I will share my experience. Okay, it's a free consultations.
Hi, okay. Rick, can you answer the questions? Because we have a few questions here. Okay. So before you head into the case study, click on the chat. You know, on there's a chat there. You can see quite a lot of questions there piling up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Rachel, could you just created new tenancy agreements? Yes, of course. You are able to create a new tenancy agreement, but based on what? For example, if you are take over the if you are take over the olden tenancy agreements and you want to create a new one, actually that will be based on the olden tenancy agreements, because that was the deal with the olden owner and the tenants. Okay, and of course you are able to negotiate about what sort of the conditions you want to change with the tenants. But for the rent increase, once you taken over the olden tenancy agreement, you still have to provide a 60 days notice for the rent increase, and there isn't any rent increase allowed before 26th of September because due to COVID-19 amendment. So any rent increase after 26th of September is allowed, and the new amendments allow you to increase the rent every 12 months. I hope that answers your questions.
Rachel, does that answer your question? I think that was like talking about the rent increase, yeah, and then you cannot have this question.
Yeah, rent increase. That's right.
Okay, and then we got next one is Wilson was talking about people want to pay higher. I think you kind of answered that. So basically, like if whatever the listing rent, that's what they will pay. If someone wants to offer to pay more, I don't think that you are allowed to do that. Am I correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about here? I think Stella actually have this question here. So Stella was saying like, what happened if it's, like your ad is saying like no pets, and someone else, now the tenant is offering you like $20 for pet. we normally add on another $50 in the past. Yeah, so it was we said no pet, but if someone they wanted to actually have a dog or something, we normally put additional $50 per week. Yeah. So basically, are you allowed to increasing the rent because you had to change the you know, like the
condition.
The condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's allowed.
So that's
what
allowed.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
yes, what I'm saying is, when you put the price on the advertisement and you state very clearly what sort of the condition is included, if you are not allowed the pet and they want to negotiate whether the pet is allowed by providing extra $20 on the rent, I think that's allowed. But if there's no negotiations, everything states on what's conditions on the advertisement, no, you're not allowed to require any extra rent payment by the same conditions.
Okay, and so what will be the? I mean, there might be another question that come out is what will be the strategy? Like if it's, you're not allowed to say, like if you put on the ad and it's a $600 a week, and maybe you have to listing like as many as possible condition there, because and then that allows you to go back and change the condition to increasing the rent, right? Yeah.
Yes,
is it will be the strategy? Like you just have to listing quite a lot of conditions. Yeah. And then put a higher rent. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what will be the strategy, because if it's, you're not allowed to have a, you know, increasing, you know, if it's, you're not allowed the tenants to pay you more, what will be the strategy? Yeah.
I think I think the intention they have made these amendments due to there's a lot of agencies, they just make the biddings on the rental properties, but our company, we don't. But the other point of view, I think due to the condition changes, there's a lot of tenants was confused about the rental price is keep changing. It's different than what they advertisements on. So I think that's the main reason they made these amendments to prevent any of the bidding issues, and also due to the condition changes, the owner just want more. I think that's their the intentions of changing these new laws.
Okay, so Rachel actually refined the question here. So so basically what she's asking is like, if she put in a heat pump and wanted to increase in the rent to cover it, but it's only 4 months into the tenancy, can I make a new tenancy agreement where the rent has now been increased to help cover costs? I don't think so, because if you lock into the agreement, you lock into the agreement. Yeah, but I let Rika to answer that. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. If you sign a fixed terms tenancy agreement and agree at a certain prices, okay, you are not allowed to increase the rent. Okay, so it depends. If you sign a fixed term, for example, like 3 years, and after the first year, you did state very clearly the rent increase is allowed by the new tenancy laws. After a year, if you want to increase the rent, I think that's allowed. But due to the fixed term, for example, 1 year, and you still have 4 months to go, I don't think you are able to increase the rent immediately. The new law state very clearly the rents can only increase every 12 months. For example, the new rent level set up 1st of August this year, and the new rent level will be only after 1st of August next year. During this year, you can't increase any more rent. Even though during this year, you put heat pumps on, you put maybe like moisture barrier, you put a lot of things to increase your value of the rental property. No, during the year, you are not allowed to increase any rent.
So basically, like if you look into the agreement, you are locked in, right? If it's like a fixed agreement. Okay. Yeah. So what happens if it's periodic? Then possibility that you might be, if it's periodical, of course, that's you might be able to create a new one. But of course, the tenant need to agree with it. Am I right? Yeah, so you can't just
yes.
go in there and say, tenant, hey, here you are, there's a new tenancy agreement with a new rent. I don't think no.
No wonder it's a fixed term or periodic with the same tenants, same agreements. You can't increase the rents during 12 months. No, you can't say, okay, we signed a periodic contract, it's after 6 months, hey, let's sign a new agreement for a fixed term for a year and we change the rent. No, it's not allowed. No, during these 12 months, you can't change the rent.
Yeah, I guess unless the tenant agreed to it, but I think that's unlikely. Yeah, I don't think, I think tenant, they will know their rights. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that's answer your question. Okay, so we got another one here is from Rachel. So if they do minor rentals, do they have to return the property back to how it was? Fill in 3 holes and paint, and at the end of the tenancy. So basically, if they decided to, because now it's allowed them to do some minor rentals, do they need to return to the previous state? Yeah.
Yes, they do. Okay, that's make the issues without the owner's consent, but they still have to return at the original what it is. So of course that prevents the landlord side. But if there's any like safety issues, they are allowed to do these for security reasons or safety issues, then they can just do it without your consent. But at the end, they have to return. They have to make it back. Okay. Yes, that's right.
So how who is going to monitor the workmanship? Because like they might, they might actually return to a property that they could have they didn't paint the wall properly, or how is it that's going to be a dispute, or what's
It is. As my experience, to be honest, any compensations of the damage, it's really difficult. You can claim any compensations from the tenants. Okay, the reason it's if you think about the paint, that will become a fresh paint, and compared to the older paint, the tenants is only have to fix up the walls at the reasonable conditions, and if they can prove themselves, they scratch the paint and trying to duplicate the same color, it's hard to challenge them that it still look different, because the adjudicator will comes out the paint color due to the older paints and new one. They're probably the same color, but the color will change. Okay, so mostly the compensation on the damage is really complicated, and it's really difficult. You can claim the full amount to the tenants successfully in the tenancy tribunal. But what we do, it's better to negotiate. Okay, it's better to negotiate whether they are willing to provide contributions if they're not to fix it properly, and the landlord is happy. Okay, it's never going to be 100% correct, but it's all about negotiations.
Okay, all right. And we got a question here, is like this from this. Yeah, so are tenants required to ask permission to put in trial security gates? I think the answer is no, they don't. Yeah, because for security reason, it seems like they can just go ahead without landlord's permission. That's correct.
Yeah, they can just go without your permissions.
Yeah. So I got this question here. So who's paying for it? Is it the tenant is paying for it?
Yeah, tenants will just install the security gate themselves, and without your consent. But of course, after they return, they have to fill the holes. They have to get rid of all the damage. They have to fix everything. But just before that, they can just do it without your consent. By the olden laws, if they're done it without your consent, you can provide the 14 days remedy notice, and you can take them to the court. Now it's just changed.
Okay. All right. We got one question from Stella. So for city apartments, there is no protocol to put in a heat pump or a vent or a range hook. What to do?
Yes, that's right. That's I think the apartments that we are talking about, it's managed by the body code. You need there's a body code rules to prevent any damage from the wall outside or inside. But if there's the body code is not allowed, there's an exceptions. Okay, there's an exceptions on the tenancy service website. Okay, I believe most of the apartments, they do have the ventilations in the bathroom, but just the heating source in the living area. Okay, you're probably not able to install a proper heat pump because that will draw the holes from the outside that will damage the properties. But there might be a chance you can install a fixed heaters that can be temperature adjustment on that fixed heaters on the wall. That might be allowed, but you have to check your body code rules as well. But I think a fixed heaters should be okay in the apartments. I do have some heaters that can provide it to you. If you do have the city apartments, I do have some brand of the heaters that can provide a heating temperatures, fixed heating temperatures that can install on the wall that can meet the requirements of the healthy home standard. If you need it, I can share that information. But I don't think heat pump is allowed in the city apartments.
Okay. Okay, I think there's a similar question here from Stella as well. So if it is not practical to add in a vent or enlarge a window, will it be exempt? I think you cannot answer that, right? Yeah, so yes, I think it will be exemption there.
Yeah, there are always exceptions. A new law that cannot fit different conditions for different houses. There are always some exemptions, just like installations. If you come to and if the installer cannot enter into the basement, then there's an exemption. Like the apartments, there's exemptions on installations of insulation as well. So there are always some exemptions.
Okay. And then we got one here, say from Lee. So does a closed Kent style fireplace count as living room heating?
I think the heating issues, I think they make it pretty clear that the heating source that can in control with the temperatures. Okay. Why does everyone talking about the heat pump, which is of course the heat pump, you are able to control the certain temperatures, and it does have the cooling functions, ventilations, dehumidifying functions, which make heat pump so powerful on everyone's demand. But by law, they only require the heating source. You don't need to have a dehumidifying function or other cooling functions. The only thing it's about the heating functions that they are required. So if the fireplace, if they can adjust the temperature, of course, that's allowed.
But I don't think we can adjust the temperature on the fireplace.
Yeah, but I believe some gas heating might allow you to adjust the temperatures, but depends. But what the new law state very clearly, everything is about fixed. Everything is about adjusting the temperature more than 18 degrees, and then you can see what else you can do.
Oh, okay. All right. So looks like the answer is no. Yeah. Okay. And then we got another question from Janet. Yeah. So how much rent will we be able to increase when a heat pump being installed? I think you can increase anything you like. But I guess
you are right.
what you're asking is more like, oh, what's more reasonable? Like, what's the market? Yeah, I think that's probably your answer. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I just want to go back to the new amendments about only increase allowed every 12 months. But the good point is, by the landlord side, you can increase the rents whatever figures you want. So, of course, if the tenant thing is not reasonable, if they take you to the court, then you probably will potential risk adjudicator will be asking why you increase this dramatic amount of the rent. I hope the rents can be reasonable during the market price, but you can set up the highest you can on the market price, and you think that's reasonable. You can increase like 15, 50, 100 a week, whatever you want. If it's reasonable, that's okay. Okay, there's no proportions you can only allow to increase 1% or 2% or 3 or 5% of the rent. No, you can increase whatever you want, but just reasonable price.
Okay, so what's normally what people are doing at the moment? Maybe they're increasing by $20, $50, or?
Yes, a general standard of the heat pump includes the labors and materials. Normally, you are looking around 1,500 or 1,700, like those sort of the price range. You're looking at about 3.5 kilowatts of the heat pumps, include all the installations and the material cost. Then it's about that price. So if you divide it into 52 weeks, that looks like about $30 of a week for the heat pumps cost. All right, so it's around $30.
Okay, all right. Okay. We got another question from Rachel. So, if the tenants damage property, like rig up the room by parking cars on grass, and the landlord notices during an inspection, what is the next step? Does the landlord provide a 14 days remedy notice?
Yes, that's right. It's actually happened in our cases. So we've done the inspection, and the landlords usually drive past, and they actually realize the tenants park on the grass. During the summer, that should be all right, but during the winter time, the grass easily to damage, and it's kind of everywhere will get muddy. So normally we will provide the 14 days notice. Say the grass is not allowed for parkings, we are not allowed to do that. If they don't remedy those issues, then we are able to take them to the tenancy tribunal. Say we have provided the parking spaces, but they are just likely to park the car on the grass. That will damage our grass. Everything get muddy, and our outside walls easy to get muddy and dirty. The environment is not so good. The neighbors is complaining. We ask the tenants to remedy those, but they refuse those remedies. I think that's reasonable. You can take them to the court. You can discuss this issue into the court. You can discuss this issues at the tenancy tribunals.
Okay, right. Okay, so we might just carry on with your case study. Okay, I'll let you carry on with your case study. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. some of the case study 1 and 2, actually, I have talked about that before, but now I just want to bring up again because it's so important. I did add the case study 3 and 4 as a new due to the new law changes, and I want to bring that up as well. So for the case study 1, the amendments has made from 27th of August last year, which is on the landlord side. As I mentioned, due to any damage for the properties, you had to claim the compensation due to that damage, or you had to claim full compensations to the tenant due to those damages. But with this new law, it just gives you more power on the landlord side to negotiate with your tenant. The reason for that is the tenants and their guest, okay, is responsible for any damage on their careless or negligence due to the damage. They are responsible for that. So if you do the inspection properly, then if you find out there's any damages, you always can negotiate with the tenants. Why does your tenants are willing to negotiate with you? Okay, in the olden days, they will refuse. Okay, they always argue this. It's wear and tears. They got nothing to do with that. You can't prove it. But now the law changes. They can't get rid of it. And the new law set up a limit. Okay, this limit will only allow you to require the damage up to 4 weeks rent or the insurance assess, which is lower. Okay, by this law, if for example, if to fix this damage, the assess is 500, the limits they're going to compensate you, it's $500. Okay, you can't require all the, for example, 2,300 charged to them. That's not allowed. So the tenant is more willing to negotiate with you to remedy those damages. But there's a crucial point before you claim, because before you use this law, which is you have to provide your insurance policy to your tenants. Okay, this is really important. If you don't provide the insurance policies and they don't understand, they don't understand what's covered for this property insurance, what sort of responsibility they might facing, then there will be an argument. All right, so it's really important from beginning of the tenancies, provide your insurance policies, let them know what this house has been covered. If you have damaged anything or careless, what sort of responsibility they will be facing on. So it will be easier to negotiate in the future. Okay, so I still want to share these case studies. I think this is so important. You always have to provide your insurance policies. You always have to let your tenants understand what's going on. And if there's any issues, it's easier for you to bring up the issues and negotiate with them. Okay, I think if you do the right procedures, the standard SOP, then it will be make your management a lot easier. Okay, the case study 2. So it's actually a bit similar than case study 1. Actually, I have to remind you to do the property inspections every 3 months. All right. The reason for that is if you don't do every 3 months, the insurance company might have a chance to challenge you. Actually, the claim you are going to make was not damaged at the same time. All right, so there will be an excuse on the insurance side because they hope that you can just fix your issues and just don't make the claim, and they always have an excuse, especially if there's a huge damage. Then they were trying to challenge whether you have to do everything right. Okay, but another reason to bring this up is this case study too. It's always happened during if you get quite a few of working professionals to rent the property together, to rent your rental properties. They just share rents together. They always invite friends here. At the end, they always blame each other. They never realize there is a damage there, and they can't figure out who has been damaged. Actually, who signed the tenancy agreement? It's on the Residential Tenancy Act. They are liable for those damages. All right. So for the tenancy agreement, and you are renting out a group of people, they want to rent it together, make sure you always let them know before anything happened. That's my advice, because at the end they will just kick the balls around. Then they will just tell you, I don't know what's going on. That was there already. That was one of the flatmates who just moved out. They made the hole. So you always have to them to know who signed the tenancy agreement, who is liable for those damages. We do the property inspection every 3 months. So if anything goes wrong, you have to provide a 14 days remedy notice, those damages. I think if you do these procedures right, then you will avoid a lot of troubles. Okay. Case study 3, the mold issues. I believe the last time lockdown finished should be around the end of May. Remember, there's a lot of raining during the June and July seasons. And I believe quite a lot of the houses, they do have the mold issues. All right. The mold issue is really, really crucial. You have to deal that. Okay. No delays. Okay. There was a news, a tenant just take the landlord to the courts because they never deal with the mold issues, and the compensation is almost $9,000. Okay. If you realize there's any mold issue inside the house, okay, you have to deal with the issues. You have to know what's going on. You have to know what cause of this mold. By the Residential Tenancy Act, the tenant is responsible to clean up any of the mold that appears immediately. Okay, that's by law. But I just went to the tenancy tribunal last Monday, and actually I just failed to defend my clients about the mold issues. My tenant has response. There is a mold issue on 6th of June. All right, around the window frame. We asked the tenant to clean the mold and make sure everything is on track. If there's any issue, we ask the tenants to update the situations. But after 6th of June, they never report. All right. And on 26th of July, which is 50 days later, the tenants send a notice to us. They require the compensation, and they want to move out. They want to terminate the fixed term contract. Okay. By that point, I did refuse what's the tenant's requirement about ending the fixed term contract, and I refused the tenant's compensation. The reason I refuse is during these 50 days, we never have any text message, emails, any phone calls regarding about there's a bedroom, there's a badly mold issues, and they just bring these issues up on 26th of July. We think it is unfair for the landlord. We don't have the chance to bring out the issues and to fix the issues. Unfortunately, we fail on defending that. The reason for the adjudicator to bring out is on 6th of June, when we realized the mold issues, we asked the tenant to clean the mold. Okay, that's from adjudicator's side. But I was a bit confused. By the Tenancy Act, the tenant is responsible to clear the mold immediately if they see any mold. So I did ask the adjudicator, what did I do wrong with these issues? Okay, by the act, I do whatever what's the Tenancy Act tell me to do. Okay, and we did ask the tenant if there's any further issues, draw out the problem, and we will come back to check. But these 50 days, we don't have any response by the tenant side. And the other reason I feel it's there's a water pipe leakage under the basement. Okay, we realized that at the beginning of August, but looks like the leakage happens for more than 1 month. So that's caused the issue for that bedroom become a bit more moldy and a bit damp. But we're pretty disappointed that the Tenancy Tribunal, the adjudicator, will bring out. As a property manager, we realized there is a water leakage issue on 6th of June. I told them this is untrue, okay? But the tenants on the Tenancy Tribunal, they argue with the adjudicator. We know the issues already. So we kind of pretty disappointed. Sometimes if you go into the Tenancy Tribunal, of course, the adjudicator need to make an order during this 1 hour time. Whatever information you provide to them, then it's crucial, okay? And if the tenants if the tenants bring out any health issues, then you have to be careful because adjudicator might be staying on their side and to prevent them. All right. So the order is there's 1,500 rent allowance. I said rent allowance is they can't use that bedroom for over 1.5 months. So we have to provide a discount on the rent, and because the bedroom's still a bit damp, then they allow the tenants to terminate the contract. Sound reasonable, but to bring out this case, I just want everyone to know. If tenants had bring any of the mold issues, then the proper procedure is you can ask them to clean it immediately, but you have to follow up. No matter they didn't draw up any issues during the 15 days, but it's always better that we can trying to in touch with them. Is there any other issues going on? And I'm trying to send a regard to the tenants. I think that will be avoid a lot of conflict. Okay, no matter to report any issue for any house issue, it's the tenant's responsibility. But if there's always a head-on and always a greeting, I think nothing to lose, isn't it? And for the more issues, the tenants is easy to make the stories in the Tenancy Tribunal. So just be careful with these issues. Okay, the case study 4. What's the new amendments? It's the tenants is allowed to break a fixed term contract, which is, I think it's reasonable. It's not reasonable. It's really unfair on the landlord side. The reason I want to say that is, if you sign a fixed term contract with your tenant, if the circumstances changes, you want to move back, or if you want to sell the house, then you have to negotiate with your tenants and provide the compensation or discount or allowance to your tenant because your circumstances change. But once these new law amendments, there's no penalty on the tenants. Okay, they can just give you 4 weeks notice. They can just move on. By the olden laws, what we do is they have to provide the first marketing cost. They have to wait until we sign another tenancy agreement with other tenants to replace them. And then we can end the tenancy agreement. Okay, of course, by law, they are able to apply the hardship. The maximum still about hardship approximately 8 weeks. They still have to stay there at least maybe 6 or 8 weeks. But once the new law sets up, they can just give you 4 weeks notice to terminate the fixed term contract. No reason. I think this is unfair and make us more difficult. But still, on the tenancy agreement, I will always recommend the landlord to put a clause. If the tenants want to break up a fixed term contract, they have to pay up the relevant marketing cost to find a new tenant. I think that's reasonable. So if you are a private landlord, remember to put this clause on your tenancy agreement and make sure if they break it, you charge the relevant marketing cost to them earlier and to cover all the costs. Okay, but I do have a landlord came back to me, asked me, so what's the point of signing a fixed term contract? Because on the periodic, the tenants can provide 3 weeks notice to leave. On the fixed term, they can provide 4 weeks notice to leave. So what's the point between signing a periodic and a fixed term contract? To be honest, once these amendments, I know they're trying to prevent the tenant side, because during the lockdown, I do have a lot of tenants, they sign a fixed term contract, but they lost their job. They want to negotiate. They want to downsize their properties, or they change job to Christchurch. They want to move from Auckland to Christchurch. Their circumstances change. I knew the government trying to change this law, trying to prevent any unreasoned loss from the tenant side. But once this change is so unfair on the landlord side, and there is no point of signing either periodic or fixed term contract at the end. So I just want to bring out these issues. All right. So if you are a private landlord sign tenancy agreement, remember to put the clause you can charge the relevant marketing cost to the tenants if they break their fixed term contract. At least you still have something covered to find a new tenant. Okay. Actually, how to select the good tenant? I did actually bring out these issues last time on my presentations. I feel this is so much important. If you really find a really reliable and a good tenants, then congratulations. Trying to ask them stay as long as they can. All right. If they are always taking care of your property, have a really good communication with you, congratulations. Try to keep them up and just easy on the rent increase, because you find them so much important. All right. And how to select a good tenant, you can briefly just go through that slide. And if you have any question, just give me a notice. I can share my experience with you. Okay. And what's essential on the tenancy agreement? I just bring this up again. You have to provide your healthy home standard reports by from 1st of December this year. Installation certificate you have already provide to the tenants, because by the law of 1st of July last year. And also you have to make a declarations on, make sure all the details you provided to your tenants is true, and you have to provide them the insurance policies, and you have to provide the signed tenancy agreements, your entry inspection report, or any rules of your body code, or any building work that have been done in the past. You have to draw attention to the tenants. So I know on the Residential Tenancy Act, residential tenant agreements, they treat tenants like a customer, okay? And you know the customer are the boss, okay? I think it's just unfair that it's not unfair. I think it's just that will make of arguments. You have lots and lots of information to the tenants, and as I mentioned, they have opportunity to deal with these issues and come back to you to renegotiate a lot of things. All right, so in the future, if you are the private landlord, you are facing a lot of challenge. The tenant is always willing to challenge on any issues regards about the house to you, and there's a lot of negotiations going around. But by the way, I will recommend it. Do whatever the new law suggested. You have to provide the relevant information. You just provide to the tenants. Just any troubles in the future. If you don't provide these information, I believe the minimum it's around $500 penalties for not provide any certificates or reports, or if there's any negligence, you due to inform the tenants. So just be very careful. And the last thing is it's our website QR code, my WeChat QR code. Always, if you have any question, you can add my chat, or give me a call, or write me an email, and I'm happy and willing to share all my experience with you. All right. Okay, that's all for today. Any other questions? Okay. Janet, can we install a fixed heat panel in a normal house? Hold, and how much will fixed heat panel cost? Yes, Janet, you are able to install a panel if you want. I do have clients install 3 panels in their living area. Each panel costs between $200 to $300, I think. Okay, and she just installed 3. Okay, but the answer I respond to her is, by the law, it's only mentioned you had to provide a fixed heating source, and the temperature control is more than 18 degrees. All right, that's by law. What sort of the heating source she like to provide to save some monies? I won't recommend it, because all I'm focusing it's what the regulation has mentioned. Okay, we just follow the rules to keep yourself into troubles. I will recommend a proper heat pump, because to prevent your house either from the heating, you have the dehumidifying functions to get rid of the moistures. I will recommend it like a proper like heat pump install, but if you want to save a little money, I don't mind. Just by law, you have to provide the temperature controls in the living area, and the 3 panels that can control that living area to more than 18 degrees, and she has to find out herself, you know. I won't really recommend it, but if she really wants to do it, make sure she do it right.
Okay, so I think it's not ideal. Looks like, yeah, heat pump is always the better one, so you can control the temperature. Yeah, okay. Right, so this one from Stella. So currently, are landlords required to provide insurance policy to tenants? I think that yes, the short answer is yes, yeah. And I think, so Rachel here is kind of carry on with the same question. So do you have to provide an entire insurance policy, or just a record of the amount the insurance excess amount?
Yes, you have to provide the insurance excess amount and also what sort of the covers in your insurance policy. For example, the windows, any damage, water damage, what sort of the insurance cover to rebuild. It's almost 8 years experience. I do have a tenant has burned out the garage. I do have the tenants to burn out the house. And luckily, the insurance has covered all the rebuilding houses and no one got hurt. Okay, so the insurance policy, you have to provide the more precise information, what sort of the cover in your insurance policy to your tenants. All right, if nothing's happened, everything's all right. If there's any issues, then to provide the information is crucial. All right, that will become really important.
So, you know, when you provide the information, is it just maybe just a email you provided with the detail?
Yes.
Because if it's entire insurance policies got some private information of the landlord,
Yes.
right? Like their home
Yes.
address or like their you know, like post address or something. So we don't need to provide that. But however, you can just in an email saying, you know, what is the insurance company, what's the amount being insured, and also what's the assets, you know, what's
Yes,
the
that's right.
yeah.
On the new tenancy agreement, actually, on the tenancy service side, they provide the tenancy agreement that's a cover sheets for your insurance policy. Briefly notice what's your assets, how much you have been covered. You don't have to provide your private information. That's all right, no problem.
Okay, all right. Right, so here's another question from Rachel. So if tenants give 4 weeks notice to break a fixed term contract, are landlords allowed to have potential new tenants come through property?
Yes, that's right. You always have to you always allowed to negotiate with the tenants whether you can do the open homes and draw up the potential the tenants to look at the properties. I don't think they have a reason saying no. You know, if they're trying to hold you back, they give you the notice and they don't want you to do the open homes. I think potentially, I think you are able to maybe have some arguments with them. I think that's allowed. All right. But to be honest, it's still their right for not allowed people to entering the properties if they still have the possession. Still their right. But I think there's an argument we can always go with the tenant. This is kind of a pain if the tenants want to break the fixed term contract. We have these issues all the time. As a property manager, we have potentially really large pressures once tenants draw out these issues. We have to report to the landlord immediately and say we're doing our best on keep bringing the prospective tenants to view the properties and trying to find the new tenants, make sure there's no gap between the transitions. Always the challenge, but everything is under negotiate. All right, so by law they still allow them to deny you to do the open homes, but if they are the person who break the contract, I don't know what's the reason they're not allowing us to bring the tenants in. I think that should be really easy to negotiate. But if you're really facing on these issues in the future, you can always let me know, and I can always behalf with you to negotiate with your tenants. Not a problem.
If it's your customer, though, yeah, you
Yes,
don't want to running around doing all the work, yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
here's from Stella, yeah. So my tenants sign a 1-year contract, then left the country during the lockdown. Now he has filed to the tribunal asking to terminate a fixed term contract. His reason is that COVID-19 is unforeseeable force. Fixed term tenancy does not have an enforcing power on him per his immigration consultant.
Yes.
It does. What it does, the 4 weeks notice of fixed term contract affect current agreement or only to agreement after the amendment comes. Oh, so basically it's yeah. So the question here is like, obviously you got also like existing tenancy agreement. So is it a new the new act? It's going to be, you know, passed back to those existing agreement. I think that's yes. Yeah.
Yes, but I just answer Stella's question first. If your tenant is overseas and she has signed a fixed term contract with you, of course, if there's a hardship and there's unreasonable reasons, they are able to apply the tenancy tribunal to terminate the contract. Actually, once the tenants draw up these issues, I think the landlords have to start to negotiate with your tenants to end the contract, because they can't coming back. They want to end the tenant. They want to end the tenancy agreement. You should draw out this issue earlier, so you do have enough time to get the new tenant. If you don't draw up the issues and ask her to keep paying the rent, if she wants to terminate the contract, you still ask her to keep paying the rent until the contract goes to the end, it's unreasonable. I think if she goes to the tenancy tribunal, she has a great opportunity to win the hearing. So that's my experience, just for you to consider.
Because myself, I've been to the tenancy tribunal. You can tell like unless they, you know, like I think they are a bit favor on the tenant side, because they believe that tenants be vulnerable position. So if they bring up some evidence against you, and unless you got really clear evidence to actually overcome that, otherwise a bit of like basically like as a landlord, you cannot afford unless you can actually have a really clear evidence to show that you are not at fault. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So as I mentioned, like these kind of issues, normally, for my experience, you should able to hold her around 4 to 6 weeks time. Okay, that's my experience. But you have to find a new tenant to replace as soon as possible. So once over 4 or 6 weeks, it's even you go to the tenancy tribunal, I don't think you are able to get more rent from them. I think the order will still be confirmed. They are able to end the tenancy agreement due to the hardship. Okay, that's my experience, but you know, still depends on the adjudicators.
Yeah, being honest, I think if they want to leave, it's kind of like relationship. You have to just let them go, yeah, and then just move on and focus on trying to find other new tenants. That's probably my advice, rather than actually spend all your energy on the issue here. Probably not worthwhile, really. Okay, sorry. So we got I saw there was the same question. Yeah. Okay. So actually, Sean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So for this 4 weeks notice, actually, it's not affecting the current tenancy agreement yet. Okay. The only amendments it's taking place immediately, which is the rent increase. You are not allowed to increase every 6 months anymore. The only rent increase is allowed is every 12 months. That's take effect immediately. Okay. The other amendments that will come out strong within probably next year. I think they hasn't announced the exactly date yet, but that should draw up within next 6 months. I think they should coming out very soon, but there's no exactly date when this new amendments taking place. So we're still doing this by the olden rules. If they sign a fixed term contract, they still need to wait until we find someone else to replace them, so they can terminate the contract. Okay, so that's I hope that answer your questions.
Oh, that's interesting, because I thought they already come in force on the 12th. So is it
not this one?
No.
Not
okay.
So only the rent increase.
Oh, only the rent increase. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's kind of same, probably that we complete with the Stella's one. So Stella was saying the tenancy advice line said if tenants do not allow you to bring viewers through, then the landlord cannot. Oh yeah, I think that's quite true. Yeah, landlord can repair without tenant's permission. Oh, and also another question, another one I was saying, I think Stella was talking about is the same person. It was 3 people on contract, 1 left country, 2 still in New Zealand. Yeah, I think if they want to leave, just let them leave. Otherwise, it's too much. If it's, you had to go to tribunal, I think that's too much. You know, like time and energy, you know, are required from you. That's what I think. But I probably leave it to Rick to cover that. I think it's the same question here. We're talking about it's a fixed price. It's a fixed tenancy, and then tenant left during the lockdown. You know, went overseas. But basically, it's a 3 people on contract, 1 dead country, and 2 still in New Zealand. So is it these 2 people that don't want to live in their house or something? They want to move on.
Yes, that's right. I just answered Stella's question first. If 1 left the country and 2 still in New Zealand, and you need to confirm with these 2 tenants whether they want to renew and re-sign another tenancy agreements between these 2 tenants and you. All right. So the person who left, who can just waive their names on the tenancy agreement, so you can re-sign it, but you need a confirmation by the person who left and re-sign another new agreement with those 2. All right. But otherwise, the tenancy agreement will be just continue. All right. So you have to deal with these issues immediately, and otherwise, before it's become a bigger troubles.
Oh, I think there's an issue there is they want to end the tenancy, but they do not allow viewings. That's nasty, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They want to end the tenancy. If it's a fixed term, then it's your decisions. It's your decisions whether you can allow them to end the tenancies. All right. As I said, approximately 4 to 6 weeks time, or even 6 to 8 weeks time. You don't know. It will be depends on the adjudicators. But for my experience, 6 weeks should be reasonable. You still can keep them approximately 6 weeks. So if they are not allowed you to do any open homes and not allow you to bring any prospective tenants to view the properties, you can be argued, because I think you are able to seek. You can take them to the tenancy tribunal and seek for the compensation about that. The reason for that is they are the parties who want to break the contract. So to putting you in a difficult situation. And if they refuse you to bring any prospective tenants, this is not allowed. Okay, by law, this is not allowed as well. So in a normal circumstances, if you want to sell your house and you want to bring some buyers to have a view the properties, then you probably will provide some discount, and because they have lost their quiet and enjoyment. But this is the different situation. They put you in a hardship, and you want to find someone to replace their place. They refuses. I think you can discuss with them and take them to the tribunal to discuss.
Okay, I think that's good. Yeah. So basically, like they do need to allow you to bring the people to view the places. So I think, Stella, if you're dealing with them directly, I think you probably have to keep all the evidence, you know, either the text or emails or something, you know, like just make sure that you send in you actually send a request to them. You tell them that you want to bring the people, and then they respond to you. They don't want to already ignore you or something. I think you have to keep a really clear evidence here. Yeah. Because it's quite tough that when you only tribunal only got 1 chance. Yeah. And you need to make sure you have a really, really good evidence with you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got another question here. Do you have any healthy home inspector to recommend? I think Rick will have someone that you can recommend. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's kind of tricky. Actually, a lot of people are capable of doing those. but you have to understand what sort of servers that have been covered. For our customer, actually, I did make an announcement, and there were two options. Some inspectors, they are capable on providing quotations if there's any maintenance or any you have to deal with any issues, then they will provide you the quotation. Some company, they might be a cheaper, for example, like $99 plus GST. They just provide you a really, really simple report. You have to ask them before you send them to the servers. You have to understand what sort of servers they have covered. But yeah, I can provide you one or two inspectors. You can ask them yourself, and if you are satisfied, and you can require their service.
Stella, I think you probably read my book, and I did mention about like don't be a landlord, because that's quite a different skill set and taking away quite a lot of your time and energy. It's not worthwhile. I mean, all you're talking about is a few $100, a few $100, and a few $100, and I think a lot of energy there. So ideally, it's actually give it to like Rick, the rental managers. He's very reliable. Just let them deal with that. Yeah, because I can tell it's quite a lot of. It looks like it's a lot of drama there. Like you had to try to deal with this difficult tenant there. And it's nothing wrong with the property. Keep the property. Make sure you keep the property. And it's the tenants that like pass on to someone else to manage it. Because it looks like it's quite it's not an easy one. Okay, we got next question from Rachel. So what are the other key or common issues you come across as a property manager? Wow, that's quite a big question. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like today we kind of like thank you for Rick to share that the mole issue. Here it's kind of like that's actually quite crucial. So health issue, I guess the tenants are very smart. They know that if they bring up this health issue, they're going to win the case. Yeah. So it's like being the rental managers that like they had to be very like proactive, constantly making sure follow up with the tenants and making sure that there's nothing going wrong there. Okay, rather than wait to like be like passive, so you have to be very proactive. If something health issue there happened, that will be, you had to be very proactive. Yeah, I don't know what will be other other challenging ones like you come across. Yeah.
Maybe I just quickly go through and share my experience. There's two challenge for me at the moment. Firstly, yeah, Lucia, you're right. It's about the health issues. Tenants are always smart. Okay, they have all the information from the tenancy servers, and remind them you do have the right to have the relevant information regarding about the premises, the houses, what's going on, what sort of the information you can require from the landlord, and if they don't provide it, you are able to take them to the tenancy tribunal. So it's very challenging if they come out and deal with their inconvenience, their health issues, and those are the tenants it's really difficult to deal with. So that's the reason I did come up with the last slide again, to select a good tenant. Okay, that's I maybe there's another opportunity. Lucia will invite me to another webinar in the future, but I think I will always keep that slides on, because finding good tenants is everything, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the second thing, it's as a property manager, the most difficult is to negotiate. Okay, they are way different tenants, their behavior, tenants, their and also you have to deal with the landlord. Their behaviors are different. How do you become a bridge between the tenants and the landlord, and do the better job on the negotiations and use the laws and make sure everything's on track? I think that's the most difficult challenge. That's what we are always trying to do the best on it. Okay, those are the two the challenge on our side is at the moment. The first thing is the health issues, and the second thing is negotiate between the parties.
Okay, yeah, all right. I think that's quite a broad. Rachel, I think I'll probably leave it to you to do another like interview with Rick or something, because I know that you're doing those interesting interviews. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Stella, I think we answered this one, right? Yeah. Okay. Henrik, yeah. So what cost would be associated with getting a healthy home certificate? Or what cost? So basically, how much? I think you kind of mentioned it. Yeah. When you answered the question. Yeah.
I do. There's a wide range of the inspector doing healthy homestead. The cheapest cost I do have in mind is $99 plus GST, and the most costly is $300 plus GST. Provide the different services, okay, and different reports. If you show any interested, I can share one or two informations to you, and you can briefly give them a call, and you can ask their service if you want.
Okay. All right. So we got Rachel here. So in your experience, what is a fair amount to reduce the rent for tenants if their peace and quiet has been disrupted due to building due to building the landlord is doing out the back of the property, new buildings. Rent is currently $880 per week for our tenants at Point Chair area.
It depends. I will also ask, if you are do another building at the back, will you share any power or water bill with them? Anyway, if you just want to talk about to lose any quiet and enjoyment, then I would suggest between $30 to $50 will be more appropriate. Maybe between $30 to $50. That's my point of view. The reason is thinking about if the tenants want to move out, what sort of the price is more appropriate you to get another new tenant to fill in. Okay, it's $800 appropriate. You are confident on getting the new tenant because you are building the house at the back. Or so I think if you have this kind of concept, you probably will work out how many discount you are willing to provide to your tenants. But normally, I think between $30 to $50, I think they will accept it, and it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's really probably up to the negotiation anyway. Just like it's up to your negotiation skill with the tenants. If you are self-managing it, and obviously you don't want to be an open book. You probably wanted to kind of like tell them that you're looking at to reduce the rent on this level, and whether or not they're going to accept it, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I heard about people they had to reduce quite a big sum, like they reduced by $200 or something. It's basically probably that depends on the scale of the bill, and also like your tenants, how reasonable they are. Like if you have quite a good easygoing tenants, they probably wouldn't mind, or I don't know. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we pretty much finished for today. I don't know, was there any more questions in terms of, but I think today certainly I might even myself I learned a bit, like I learned a bit on the the heating in the living space, it had to be fixed, and also the temperature need to be controllable. So, and also I learned another things is that anything related to the health issue, make sure you do actually be proactive and making sure that because the health issue is a big issue, like at the moment at Tenancy. Yeah, okay. And also the cell living. Actually, I got a bit of question on the cell living. So cell living is only just yourself, or including like your family members, or like your
family members.
Family members. So even like my auntie or whatever, that's allowed cell living, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And basically, it's like if it's you getting a notice, basically within the 30, like after the tenant move out, within that 90 days, you have to make sure that you move in there, right? Yeah. Okay. And then what in the what happened is that you had to do renovation. So is it like how is it is renovation? Does it mean that you after they move out, the within 90 days you had to do renovation, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so if you're gonna do a renovation, it's just still 63 days notice rather than 90 days,
Yes.
is it? Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
basically you've got two reasons you can shorter than 90 days notice. Either it's a sale living or renovation.
Yeah.
And how about if you sell the property? Is it still 42 days?
I think it's 63 days as well. Selling the house.
Oh, so
They changed to
you sold it. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right then. Very good. Yeah. So that's probably everything from us. And you guys have been really good. Yeah. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. So I think it's quite a lot of questions as well. Yeah. And you got a contact number from you got a Rick's contact number, and feel free to actually reaching out to him. He's always been very helpful. Yeah. And again, my last message is always being don't managing yourself. Always give it to the professional. Let them to dealing with those like issues like the tenant issues. Yeah, the tenant's issues, not your issues. Your issues are how you actually increase your assets and build your wealth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. All right. Thank you for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
The rest of the weekend. Yeah. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.